Talking with the experts.
Hello, welcome to Talking with the Experts. My name's Rose Davidson, and my guest today is Maria Pellicano. And Maria is known as a voice, life, and business coach, public speaker, trainer, singer, musician, songwriter, and author. And she's got the most beautiful voice, and I know that for a fact because I've heard her sing. For the past 20 years, she has specialised in psychology, whatever it is,
Psychometric
thank you,
testing.
assessment, emotional intelligence, mindfulness, meditation, and voice technique for both speaking and singing. And I do know her for her vocals and voice training. So welcome, Maria. It's
Thank you,
lovely
Rose.
it's actually lovely to see you again. We haven't seen each other for absolutely forever.
Long time.
It has. So tell me a little bit about your business and how you can help other businesses with what you do.
Yeah, well, how do I help people is depending on what they need. Sometimes I am approached by those who want to improve their speaking voice or their accent or just generally speaking communication. And it could be in teams or to clients. They may have a negotiation issue or a conflict in communication. So it kind of moves from voice technique to communication, general communication, and then into leadership, and then sometimes even into mindfulness and all sorts of directions because communication is a big subject and it's non-verbal, but it's also verbal. So it's a bit of everything. So it's very exciting.
Yes.
And so it depends what people bring up. Yeah.
Yeah, I do know that you are very into voice inflection and how one uses their voice to speak, how they, as you say, communicate with others. And, tonality is one of your great topics. Tell us a little bit a bit more about how one can use tone in their business as a leader, perhaps to get their message across in a more powerful way.
Okay. Well, voice tone really is almost everything, meaning that it is one of the most vital tools in the communication process, both inner and outer voice tone. So tone is the kind of non-verbal aspect of communication. So you choose your tone or you don't choose it. A lot of people just default to a tone, which is habitual. It's a habit. And so they're not aware of it because nobody can hear their tone until they have somebody diagnose it or give them some sort of feedback. And a lot of people don't specifically ask about voice tone feedback, but they may ask to get feedback on their communication style by their managers or peers. And there are a lot of assessments are assessing on that too, that if it was a 360, you would be assessed on your communication skills. And based on the tone, people give you feedback. So because voice tone is something we feel, we don't just hear it, we actually feel it. And we're always listening to the meaning in between the words. So when we're listening to somebody speak, we're actually creating an image of what they're saying or a perception. We're creating an underlying motivation to what they're saying. And also we're building a story in our mind about what that conversation means and what it could mean and so on. So voice tone is like a body language aspect, or even looking at somebody's face can give them information. So voice tone, like I said, can be energetic or it can be boring, it can be monotonous, repetitive. They're similar words, but I'm just using different words to sort of explain when you're listening to somebody and you're listening to them speak. Do they sound like they're reading something out? Do they sound like they're overthinking what they're saying? Does it sound like they're really believing what they say? Are they interesting to listen to? Are they expressive enough? And that is usually heard in inflections in the voice. So if it goes up, like, hey, great to see you today, right? It's very different to say, hey, oh, hang on. If I say, hey, great to see you today, is very different to saying, great to see you today. So today we're going to be talking about communication. It's very different to saying, hey, great to see you today. Today we're going to be talking about communication. That's a completely different feeling. And you have a different perception of that person, whether they're going to be approachable, friendly, if they sound dominating, if they sound professional, if they sound like, you want to listen or you don't want to listen. So there's all that non-verbal going on.
Yeah, I agree.
And in leadership, Rose, this is very important because your staff respond to your tone. They have a perception of you, and that will mean whether they take extra effort or they don't. And this is for some of the team members. Some of them need a lot of motivation. Some staff need more motivation than others, depending on their profile type. And so depending on how your profile and your communication, it impacts on how people respond to your communication.
Yep, I agree. I think if you use a happy upward tone, people are more likely to be more open with you rather than if you're using a monotone or lower voice tone. I think, I know that a lower voice tone makes you sound more authoritative, but, on the other side, in my mind, for me anyway, it makes you sound like you're not very approachable. I would rather have someone with some upper inflection in their voice rather than a monotone or lower inflection. What do you think of that? Is that something that's more, the approachable side or non-approachable side of a business or leader or speaker?
You can do a tension of both. Executive leadership is a term that's used a lot, which describes the person to be very calm and speaking slower with lots more space, and their voice tends to have a lower tone. And if you're a business leader, then you don't want to be sounding too sparky, high-pitched all the time because it makes your work sound flaky or weak. Now, how do we determine that? Is because lower voices have that sense of strength to them. It's got more of a masculine energy, but you can have a smile on your face while you're using a lower tone. So if I said to you, Rose, you know what, we need to stop doing that. We cannot continue to perform at that level. So I'm using a low voice. I'm also pointing my hands down. So I'm using like my hands. I don't know if you can see that. We've got to stop doing that. And I'm using a low tone. I'm making it definite. But I have hopefully empathy in my face and in my voice and in my eyes. So that's a sense of strength and compassion at the same time.
Yep.
So there's a way of doing that. Now, if I don't say it that way, and I said, hey, Rose, we really need to stop doing that.
No, I
You know
wouldn't.
what? That's not kind of working.
Yeah, no.
It sounds a bit sarcastic and it's a
is.
conflict in the message. So, it's about having choice and awareness or mindfulness over what voice tone we're using, how it's coming across, and maybe recording yourself or watching a video and choosing your voice tone and perhaps even getting feedback.
Yeah.
And saying to people, choosing a selection of people, different people and different roles you have in their life, and getting feedback on your tone or communication. Just call it communication, because communication is the response we get, by the way, Rose. So when we're getting whatever response we get is what we're communicating, and that's what we have to take responsibility for.
Yeah, there's always a disconnect, I guess, about how one uses their voice or the tone of their voice and how they're actually using their body language. So that, they both have to be the same and connect and align with each other. Otherwise, the message just gets misconstrued or just gets lost along the way somewhere for the person who's actually receiving that message. But now you have an unpack the 7 speaking voice elements you can control, ensuring you captivate and convince your audience every time. Can you tell me a little bit more about this new online voice package?
So this package that I've created is kind of like a prelude to my more comprehensive program that I've created with way more topics that basically help people speak with credibility and authority. And so what I've done as an introduction is created a mini course on 7 elements, just capturing those most important aspects that introduce the awareness of voice. So at the moment, I have an ebook you can download called The 7 Speaking Voice Elements That Empower Your Leadership Credibility. Now, what are the 7 is, we talk about tone, which is the character of your sound. We talk about the intonation or / inflection, and that's so how it goes up and down and how you do that. You want to be able to modulate your voice with, things like, can I just show you a little exercise? Just a little exercise like, I'm just blowing in a straw like, I'm going from low to high. Just activates voice and wakes it up, gives it more energy. Little exercise like that. And why would you do them? Is because why would you wake up in the morning and put your makeup on and put your lipstick on, and why would you put on a nice shirt and get ready for work and not prepare your voice and have that really morning voice that sounds like this?
Yes.
Like, I just wake up. And it doesn't matter how strong your microphone is, you're never going to sound as powerful. And yet communication is like your face. I always say your voice is like your face. You take it everywhere with you, and it's trying to speak your heart, trying to speak your mind, trying to speak the action you want to take. And yet we don't put any awareness on things like accent issues, monotone issues, speaking too fast, speaking too loud or too soft or too breathy. All those aspects of our voice affects the meaning of our words. It's really, really simple. And overall, it affects your leadership results. And it's quite important because that's who I'm working with at the moment. And people are really fascinated about this. Like, they're really fascinated about how can I communicate better? And because I have a voice background, it sort of makes it more interesting if the person would like to go there. If I think it's an issue, I always do. But sometimes it's the underlying causes also that creates a powerless voice, or a powerless voice, or a voice that doesn't seem to show experience or authority. It's because of the way you're feeling on the inside. Because if you feel, uncertain, or you feel not clear in what you say, it does affect the way your voice ends up showing up too. Because a voice is a show up thing, right? It's something that just shows you up, whether you're aware or not. So pace, we talk about pace, we talk about volume, pausing, and accents, how to deal with that. There's a lot of people now, because we're online, we're working internationally, and so there's a lot more work with the second language going on that people are having to deal with. So this is a free ebook that you get, and then you get a couple of emails after that introduce you to this mini course, which is $97, and it's got quite a bit of content in it. I mean, it's got like probably up to 15 videos, and it's got quite a lot of content. And if you want, you can go to the next level and then get the bigger program, which is way more comprehensive, and it goes into the heart of the voice, and it goes into executive presence voice. And that one, it's called Learn How to Speak Like a Professional with Influence and Authority in Any Environment. So this is a suite of courses that I'm creating around communication. And then I've also developed the mindset to become an inspirational, authentic speaker, and currently working on delivering an engaging message on any platform. So that will be my suite, and then I've got to figure out how we're going to get it out there.
So I mean, I know you from a few years ago where you wrote a book which was a bestseller, and a lot of and then I helped you write
Yes,
a
you
paper
did.
for when you went overseas, and you talked a lot about exercise. You know, how you can use different types of breathing techniques, and the one with the
Mm,
straw that you just demonstrated,
yeah,
and things like that. And they were quite fascinating. And can you tell me a few more of those exercises? I think
yeah,
they'd be interesting for people
yeah,
that are
yeah.
here today.
So the one that I just did before is a breathing and a warm up at the same time. So the reason why you do it in water with a straw is because you want to see your breath being consistently, you can see the bubbles being consistent, and that means you're breathing. Because some people actually don't breathe, believe it or not. Well, we hold the breath, like we speak with
Yep. Yep.
holding the breath. There's no natural flow of the air, and you don't even realize you're doing that, because if you're stressed out or you're intimidated in any way, right, or you're not clear or you're afraid, your breath is immediately affected. And without that body awareness, because we're so worried about what we've got to say, that we're not, we're in our head, so we're not in the body. So this helps you get back into your body. You're watching your breath. You're making a sound through the vocal cords. So it's ooh, ooh. And then I'm blowing into the straw. All my air's going into the straw. I'm getting some pressure from the abdominal muscles, because the air's getting pushed down from my throat, and the air's trying to come up through my throat. So right here, my larynx, which is my voice box, is getting sandwiched, and so it's really getting strengthened. All those muscles in the larynx are getting strengthened, and also my larynx, which my voice box, is getting kind of settled down, so it gets rid of that tightness I have when I clench my jaw, or there's all these little effects in our bodies when we're nervous. And one of the things is the larynx comes up, then we've got little space in our mouth, and because of that our voice gets squeezy like this, and my jaw's tight and my tongue's tight, and then suddenly my sound sounds very small and very, very harsh, and it's small, as opposed to this. Now suddenly I've relaxed my larynx, I've dropped my larynx, I've made my voice slightly a little bit dopey. Not for everybody though, it depends
Mm.
on, because you can overdo it and then you'll start sounding too hollow, and it sounds like really not really natural.
Mm.
So I've just relaxed my larynx. My breath is deep in my belly, down to where the belly button is, or right down low. I can feel my larynx dropping. My jaw's relaxed, my tongue's relaxed, and because of that, I have an open, fuller voice tone. When I have an open, fuller voice tone, I sound more peaceful. I sound more professional, more experienced, more mature, whatever you want to call it. I mean,
Mm.
what do you think? I mean, it sounds. What do you think,
I
Ray?
think it sounds relaxed and confident.
Yeah. So I can have this even if I'm stressed, if I'm aware, and if I've exercised my voice. So if I train those muscles, like it's like posture. This is like posture. I like that. It's like a voice posturing. Now, the reason why at night time, for example, if we've gone to bed and we're a bit tense, you'll find you lock your jaw like this,
Mm.
and so you get up in the morning and your larynx is up here like this. Could be like that, and everything's tight, because apparently we do clench our jaw at night time. And so that means that this is tight and my larynx has come up a little bit, because it's a very small space down there. Just a micromillimeter changes a lot. So any tightness, that, then I'm beginning to speak with a really tight throat.
Mm.
So that creates this really squeezed vocal sound, which gives that. I mean, can you contrast it? Maybe not. But overall, I think unconsciously we have thoughts about people based on their voice.
Yeah.
We have thoughts about people, and then if you put a face to the voice, then you put words to the voice. So you put words, face, expression, voice tone. It can really mess up the message,
Yep. Definitely.
and the person doesn't even know why you get that response. So anyway, It's one of those tools that you can do to improve communication. It's not the only one. I do teach, that's voice technique. If it's necessary, I bring that up. But there's also mindset, and the way you think can affect the way you speak, because it's the organ of the soul. The voice is the organ of the soul. Sometimes we have to change our thinking, and we've got to look at our beliefs, and we've got to upgrade some of our thoughts. And then we need to also like to be present and like to be visible on camera and in rooms. And a lot of introverts, for example, really struggle with that. And how to be comfortable with saying, I don't have the answer right now and I'll get back to you. How to say no.
Yeah, that's always hard for me, is how to say no in a nice way without sounding like I'm being horrible.
Yeah, because we're meant to say yes all the time, are we?
Yes.
You know, you sort of think all of that affects our communication. It's not just about voice, but it's one of those things that I think I usually begin with. But there's way more than that. And so and then the psychometric testing, I think, is really interesting for me, because I like to profile test people to figure out what kind of personality they have, to sort of figure out what are they up against, like what kind of addiction, because we all have addictions to our personality, and are they aware of that, and can you stretch out of that? So I love the Enneagram, allows you to get out of just, if you're a head person, get into the heart or get into the body better. And then I love extended disc profiling. I think that's great to know your energy type. And then I've recently done emotional intelligence, which I think it is the most powerful tool in communication.
I do. I think it's great. I think I've done one of those tests, and it really opened my eyes to my personality type. And I thought, oh my God, I didn't think it matched me perfectly. I didn't think I was like that, but yeah.
Yeah, so emotional intelligence is the way we communicate, and the Genos one has got the 6 competencies, and each competency's got 7 behaviours. I mean, if we learn to practice those and be okay with sharing our emotions with other people when we are struggling, to even say, you know what, I know I'm saying yes, but I really would like to say no, you know, and I can get back to you about that. Now is probably not the best time to talk about it. Even feeling comfortable to say that sometimes, or, you know what, I didn't realize that. I need to get back to you about that. You know, little things like that empowers your voice, empowers your communication, and it's okay. It's emotional intelligence to share how you're feeling with others. It gives them permission. So there's a whole heaps of things to learn in there too about how we communicate.
Anyway, Maria, how can people get in touch with you to get onto this course?
Right. Okay. So I am on LinkedIn and on Facebook. My Facebook page is Harness Your Voice. So that's the business name, Harness Your Voice, but it's also my name, Maria Pellicano. But if you go to LinkedIn and look up Maria Pellicano, you can subscribe to the free ebook, or I could give it to you, and you could just share it maybe.
I would love that. That would be terrific. Yeah.
So I'll send it to you, but you can go to LinkedIn and I'll be posting it there. You can download the free ebook and then have a look at a couple of, there's about 4 emails that you'll get as a journey, and that'll point you into the course, and it begins that process. Eventually I might just package all this together. So, but right now they're separate courses. And,
that's great. No, it's been a great pleasure talking to you and learning how to use voice in business and in life. And I might even think about taking that course myself and learning how I could use my voice a lot better to, improve my life and improve my business. It's, I think that there's something for each of us to learn in that way.
Yeah, well, thank you, Rose, for the opportunity and for sharing with your experts here. And I hope to stay in touch with you and share more as we go along our lives.
That would be terrific. Again, thanks, Maria, for your time, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.